Hello everyone, it's Elizabeth from the Smart Stitcher. In this week's tutorial I'm going to show you how we can use symbols to make editing our pattern repeat a little bit easier. Now the first thing I'm going to do, if I come over to my board, I can see that artboard 2 is the one where I've got my pattern repeat, so I'm just going to use the shift key because I want to sort of group this one and pop it out the way. So I've used shift and then control and G, and that groups them, and then I'm just going to push them up into artboard 2 so they're nestled together. I'm going to be using artboard 1 to create my symbols, and what I'm going to do to sort of show you how to do that for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to move artboard 1 over into the middle so you can sort of see what I'm working on, but also see how it's going to be slightly different. So when I edit in this particular artboard 1, nothing happens in our repeat on artboard 2, but using symbols, which is why once you've got your sort of design mocked up, it might be easier to sort of either use symbols from the go-get or to sort of create your symbol board to make editing multiple bits of your design much easier. So I am going to make sure that we can still see our artboard 1 because that's where we're going to be creating the symbol, but I'm now going to create another artboard and I'm going to just drag that out, and I can see from the dimensions that I can just type in what I want it to be. I've got 200 by 200 because I know that my square for artboard 1 is 100 by 100. Now you can, for the purposes of what I'm going to be doing, I'm setting up kind of just those 4 squares within that large one, but you can make this bigger or smaller depending on what you would like to do. I'm now going to come back to artboard 1 because that's the one that I want highlighted to set up my symbol. Now I'm going to come up to the tabs at the top of the panel here, and I'm going to click on the one that says symbol, and I've already got artboard 1 highlighted, so now I can create. So this now, artboard 1 is my square repeat that I can then use in my design to sort of then work into creating and altering my layers a little bit easier. So now I've got artboard 1 highlighted, I'm going to press Control and then C and then V, and then I'm going to use the move tool just to slide this over. Now this is where it's quite important to get everything lined up so that you've got your green vertical lines and your red horizontal lines so that you know that you are matching with your board. I'm then going to do Control C and V again, but this time I'm going to flip it. Now you can do this with just a plain square, but I find it a bit easier to follow if I've got a pattern in it already. So again, making sure I've got my lines, and then I can do Control again, Control and V. But this time I'm coming down and flipping it horizontally, and then I'm just going to do the Control and V once more, flipping again to create my pattern repeat. So at the moment, that just looks exactly like my first one. Okay, now with symbols, the key thing that you can do must do is to make sure that you are working within your original symbol to make adjustments to the piece. So what I'm going to do is exactly what I did with the other board. Hold shift and I'm going to nestle these artboards in as a group, and then I'm going to pop them into artboard 3. I'm then going to come back and I'm going to highlight artboard 1. And now I'm going to show you a little bit about using gradient fills, which I find quite nice to sort of get different effects within the design. Now, to alter the gradient, you will notice that if you expand your symbol, you've now got a little orange bar adjacent to each of the shapes you've got within that within artboard 1. That means it's in its symbol. So I always make sure that if you're making adjustments and you're moving things, that you are within your highlighted artboard, that sort of original tile, so that you can then work into any of the bits that you want to go to. Now I've sort of double clicked into the sort of the wavy kind of S shape to start us off. I've already put a colour in, and again, as I start to edit now, I can then notice a lot more about how the board is coming together. And I mentioned a few issues in my previous tutorial, but we'll just kind of gloss over those for the moment so I can show you this bit. So I'm going to come down to gradient, and you'll notice that the gradient is already populated with the colour in the tile that I'm already using and white at one end. So we've got here different types of gradients we can use, and you can experiment with all of these and they will give slightly different effects. And of course you can adjust the colours. Now, to adjust the colours, you want to highlight where you want that sort of colour to go, and if I wanted to sort of say change this colour, I'd need to come at this end, and I can then sort of maybe make that a little darker. And you can start to see how even just with a simple gradient, we were able to sort of create some interesting adjustments. Now, if I slide that back over so we can come down again and just see a little bit more. Now, if I wanted to add another colour in, I can click along my line, regardless of what type of gradient I'm doing. And I say, you're not going to break the internet just by playing with these, so go for it. Have a bit of fun. Let's add in another colour, something that perhaps is going to be a bit different. There we go. And then we can start to sort of play about with sort of the different levels of use within the colours, and you can start to see how you can sort of soften or you can create a harsh line depending on what you would like to do with your colours as you sort of blend through. And gradually, just remember as you go along to save your work so that you're not going to lose anything. But what's actually happening is as I'm adjusting each of the colours, so if I wanted to pick this green one, we can do exactly the same thing. Double click the shape, go to fill. It's hazing me, my computer. And I can sort of click on that and I've got my sort of basic repeat, and you can start to see how that sort of gradient then looks, but maybe we can actually now change the colours up again. And there isn't particularly a limit on how many colours you can add, but again, it depends what your design is and the effect that you're looking to create. So play about. No, you're not going to break the internet. Just remember to save your file as you go along and just experiment with your colours. And even just by turning the colour wheel, you can see just how many different effects we're getting. Some of them look actually quite nice, quite dramatic. Some of them I may wish to sort of blend a little bit more so the lines aren't as harsh. So because you've set up symbols, it just makes life a lot easier. So you can start to see the design is starting to sort of take shape a little bit more. It's looking perhaps a bit more three-dimensional. You can experiment. Again, just as remember to save your file as you're going along, and you can always undo something that you're not happy with as well. When you set up your symbols and when you're setting up the artboard for that, I think if there's one tip that I could sort of leave you with, it's to make sure that you have set up everything so that the edges are completely straight. Now, sometimes if I've found, and I've thought I've seen the lines, but because I've taken my finger off the trackpad on my laptop, in doing that, it's often just adjusted the position. So just zoom in and check that everything is as you would expect it to be and it's nicely lined up. Now, one of the things that you will notice is that you can sort of almost see the outline of the tiles. When this is printed, be it on paper, fabric or leather, you won't actually have that outline there, but you will have the outline if you've chosen coloured lines on your shapes. So if I zoom in here, you can see that my sort of central S is this. When I was drawing it out, it was originally that sort of pink colour. So as I've changed the gradients, you may wish to alter the stroke on your shape. And if I click into that, you can see that I've actually got that there. So I can make that the same, or I can remove the stroke. It depends on the effect that you want to create. But sometimes it's nice to have, see then, mistake, Control and Z, it's all back. I'll make sure I save it. So it's nice to sort of be able to sort of play about with it. You might want your stroke and the outline to be sort of thicker. You might want it to be non-existent. Again, play about, have fun, and you can start to sort of really use the fill techniques, the gradients, and there's lots, elliptical, radial, and conical. You can, play about, have some fun, and enjoy. So thank you very much for joining me. Um, and enjoy playing about with your design work. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye bye.